set. Alright. Picture a man running through the streets of Poland, screaming radical ideas about how the sun is the center of the universe, in a time where the church controlled the popular belief, where they preached that the earth was the center of the universe. Nicolaus Copernicus challenged the beliefs of his time with the first accurate sun-centered heliocentric model. And he fought through adversity and oppression to surface this model, which is now upheld in our time today. During the past few weeks, I've conducted hours of research about Nicolaus Copernicus through his own written manuscripts as well as other printed credible sources. This topic is relevant because Copernicus' research is still upheld today, and he encouraged to open the minds of many people in regardless of their prior beliefs. Today I'll be discussing Nicolaus Copernicus and how he came up with the first credible heliocentric model and how his ideas challenged the popular beliefs of his time. First, let's get into some background information about Nicolaus Copernicus. He was born in 1473. His father died at a very young age, so his uncle kind of took him under his wing and acted as a father figure for him. When Copernicus was 18, he attended Krakow University, where he studied math and painting. He also worked at the former cathedral with his uncle on the religious council while he was studying there. 2 years after he graduated from Krakow, he attended Bologna University in Italy, where he studied religious law. There he met astronomer Domenico Maria Navarro, and that's really what sparked Copernicus' interest in the field of astronomy. They conversed for hours on end about planets and the stars, and they actually ended up becoming roommates. So in 1500, Copernicus moved back from Italy to Poland, where he stayed as a resident at the cathedral where he continued to work there. He actually ended up living there for the rest of his life. So now you know some background information about Copernicus, and let's dive into how he came up with the first heliocentric model. Copernicus read many books during his free time while he worked at the cathedral. Most of them were pertaining to astronomy, considering that was his interest during the time. One of them being Epitome of the Alchemist by Regiomontanus. This was his first exposure to a theory other than the geocentric theory, one where the sun is the center of the universe, actually. This is Ptolemy here. His theory was that the earth was the center of the universe, which was supported by the Catholic Church. And Copernicus disagreed with this theory for many reasons. One of them being that Copernicus came up with the new theory that the size of the orbit of a planet depends on its distance from the sun. And as you can see here, as the planets get farther away from the sun, their orbits do get larger, so that theory wasn't upheld. However, Copernicus was not the first to come up with the heliocentric theory. Aristarchus had one very similar to Copernicus. However, Copernicus was a little bit more accurate. He had more accurate mathematical formulas to predict the position of planets throughout the year. And also, his theory was not 100% perfect either during his time. He believed that the planets revolve around the sun in perfect circles. As you can see here, however, they travel in ellipses or oval shapes around the sun. So now I know how he came up with such theory. Now let's dive into how society reacted to such a radical idea. In the year 1514, he wrote his first manuscript called Commentarius, which is Latin for a small commentary. And in this book, he wrote about his mathematical formulas and also astronomical observations that he made. And this book really sought out to prove 5 main points. The first being that planets revolve around the sun, and the sun is the center of the universe. Number 2 being that the moon orbits the earth as the earth orbits around the sun. Number 3 being that stars do not move. They appear to move because the earth is actually moving throughout the universe. Number 4, the earth moves in a sphere around the sun, which is why the sun appears to move throughout the year. And number 5, the earth orbits opposite of the other planets around the sun. So this was his first work. So he had little to no credibility at the time, and not a whole lot of people really believed his book at all, and it received very little attention. But years later, he wrote a new book called De Revolutionibus Coelestium Orbium Coelestium, and this book was published in 1543, and this is Latin for On the Revolution of Heavenly Spheres. And this book really received the most criticism, even more than Commentarius, because this was his second book. He was really trying to prove out his heliocentric theory. But he received many criticisms from astronomers, and the main one he received was, why does the Earth revolve around the sun? They thought that his book really didn't seem to prove that very well. And he also received many criticisms from the church and religious leaders. It contradicted the teachings that they sought out to preach during the time. One of these leaders was Martin Luther, this man on the left here. And he was the leader of the Protestant Reformation, and he was a very highly respected leader during the time, and he really spoke openly about how Copernicus was wrong and his ideas were flawed. Another person that really challenged Copernicus' works was the Pope Paul III right there. And funny thing is, Copernicus actually dedicated his second book to the Pope in order to win him over. He kind of knew this thing would have happened. However, the Pope did not buy into his dedication. He actually banned the book. The Catholic Church banned the book for centuries, even after Copernicus' death. Which brings us to the end here. Copernicus died in May of 1543, and he was buried in a former cathedral. And actually, at his funeral, he didn't really get that much attention. There's not a whole lot of celebration for his life. He really wasn't considered a great leader or a great man as he is considered today. So in conclusion, you all know more about Nicolaus Copernicus and how he came up with the first credible heliocentric theory. His theory challenged the ideas of the popular belief and made some really revolutionary ideas. Those who doubted him were wrong, and Copernicus was a man of logic and really changed perspective of discovery today.